Please welcome Elizabeth Campoy.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to present today. I've really been looking forward to this. I love sharing what I do and the importance of employment. So I'll go ahead and start with an overview of the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. Then I'll define supported employment and the benefits of it. Then we'll move on to the 8 core principles. That's really the heart of what we do. And then we can celebrate some successful discharges. You can share in our celebration there. So we also have our outcomes that we'll talk about and our program goals, as Colleen had mentioned. And then I think they're going to kind of have you guys use the chat box for questions, and I love questions. So please let me know if you have one. So we can go ahead and get started. I'll share my screen. Okay, great. So welcome. I just feel so honored to be part of this today. So again, I'm the program supervisor. So I always like to emphasize that our whole crew here, we are just really fully invested in the practices of supported employment. And our mission at the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch is caring people, preparing youth for life. And that's something that we do every day, and we really live by that. I will be using YBGR, which is the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch, and I'll be using supported employment and IPS interchangeably. But if there's any other acronyms you don't understand, will you please let me know? Because sometimes in this field, we say things we think everyone knows, and sometimes people don't. I don't want to leave anyone lost. So I work with these 2 people here, Chris and Erica. They're the employment specialists in that photo, and that was our first annual IPS conference. In 2019, we held it in Bozeman, and we had a whole array of wonderful speakers. It was a 1.5 days long, a lot of great attendees, and people from all over the state and from all different areas of the mental health field. And then there's a picture of our job fair from 2019. We invited 5 employers out to our campus and held just kind of a mini job fair for any youth that were interested. And I had done a resume workshop with them, and they were able to prepare themselves for any interviews that might happen, and they could ask any questions they wanted to of the employers. And so, and it was semi-informal, so they were able to really ask those questions that they're maybe afraid to ask during an interview. So that was very beneficial, and it was well received by both sides. Okay, so there's a picture of our rolling hills behind the campus. We have a beautiful campus just west of Billings. It's 410 acres, and we're state licensed, nationally accredited, private nonprofit organization. And we provide comprehensive mental health services to seriously emotionally disturbed youth. So currently we have about 70 youth that are in our residential program, and then about 50 youth that attend our day school. And we have our community-based programs, and we're all across Montana. So not that all of our services are available in every location, but many of our community-based services are. And just kind of an overview, I believe that all of us at YBGR, we just meet youth where they're at, and we know that that relationship we build with them is the key to success with their recovery and their treatment. And it's where we build that rapport with them. And I think that all of us really take that seriously at our agency. And I always want to highlight that. I'm very proud of us for being that way. Okay, so our community-based services includes a whole list here. So we have our home support services. Those are folks that are going into the home, working with parents and kids together. And now we've just added a therapist component to that. We have our targeted case management, of course, supported employment. Chemical dependency, that is a growing program. It's now in both the middle schools and the high schools here in Billings. And we offer counseling through Zoom also. We have our therapeutic foster care program. We do psychological testing, and that's in addition to our clinical assessments. It's a more in-depth look at the kids. We have outpatient therapy and youth mentors. Our crisis intervention program, that's also new, and it just started last month. We have counselors in each of the high schools here in Billings that are there to provide any type of help for anybody, really. I mean, they don't have to be part of YBGR at all. And it's kind of to add that extra support during the pandemic times and all these things that are going on in our world. It's really there for that extra support for the schools. And then we have our community treatment, the CSCT teams. And I think we have maybe 40 teams. You can see on the right, there's all the little towns and cities that we are in. And then of course, it includes all of the surrounding areas. And every day we serve about 650 youth and their families. So we'll kind of focus now on what is supported employment, also called IPS, or Individual Placement and Support. The main goal of our program is to expose youth to competitive, meaningful employment. And so it's part of their recovery, and we truly, truly believe it has a huge impact on our youth's mental illness. We have learned that most people, they really want to work, whether they have a mental illness or not. I think most people really want to work, and supported employment is cost effective compared to day treatments and multiple hospitalizations over time, and sometimes jail, court costs, all of the benefits that folks that are not working tend to receive. And so being able to provide this really crucial component is very important to us. So for our program, we serve youth, and that isn't typical of supported employment. I only know of ourselves and one other program that is serving youth. So our program is run by a grant that sort of dictates some of the regulations and qualifications for our program. So for us specifically, they have to live in Yellowstone County and have an active diagnosis and between 15 and 24 years old, and they have to want to work. Sometimes our treatment team or parents want the youth to work, and it really isn't beneficial to them to force them to do something they're really not bought into. So we want to make sure that they are the ones seeking employment. We've had, of course, the impact of COVID-19, but I want to say our organization has done amazing. We already used Zoom for a few years, so we had that platform already down, and we just shared it with more people, more kids and families, and we're able to find ways to connect them with us. And now we're even able to reach more folks in rural areas through that. So we also launched Hello Sign, which was a way to just gather signatures and get all of our paperwork signed efficiently. And we realized that our youth are the essential workers. They're the people that need to be working in the grocery stores and all of the gas stations and things like that. So we encourage them to take precautions. We take precautions with masks and sanitizer and disinfectant for everything. And I want to say that our program wasn't tremendously affected by the pandemic, that we were very fortunate that our youth were still able to work. Okay. This is how we get our youth in our program. So a treatment team member usually refers them. I have a form that I send out, and then also within our medical record system, we do a referral. We look over it as a team, and right now I have a wait list of about 10 youth. I will go ahead and call them right when their referral is received, and then I just follow up with them every month, let them know where they're at. And then we decide which employment specialist between Chris and Erica is going to be the best fit. And then we schedule the intake and start with the initial paperwork with them. I guess I need to drink real quick. Okay, so the benefits of IPS or support employment is much bigger than just having that job. So now that we've had our program for a while, we have been able to be more selective with our employers, and we found some that really are just those positive, adults that can really change how our youth feel about themselves. And so it's bigger than just getting a job, and it's bigger than the type of work. It's the people that are around them that can influence them in positive ways. And every youth has individual services. So everything is customized to that particular individual. It makes us a lot more successful, and we get to the root of what's going on with them a lot of times, and it's a lot easier to serve them if it's personalized. So many of our youth use alcohol and drugs, and we don't place judgment on that. We know that that is sort of just part of what's going on with them in their lives right now, and we work around it. We might find jobs that don't drug test, things like that. Our hope is that over time, our youth will use a lot less because they have more value and feel more worthy of being healthy. Work is great for social skills and learning independence and more confidence in what they do each day. So we always want to highlight that it's more than just the job itself. It affects the whole person in many, many ways. So I was talking about self-esteem and self-worth. Those are some of the benefits of it, but we also look at they get to learn interview skills and some of these life skills that maybe they wouldn't typically get. And we do resume writing with them. We take them in to meet the employers, but we also help them apply for the jobs. And then they get to work around other people that aren't suffering from mental illness at the time or less severe. So they have good role models. Okay, now we'll get down to the 8 core principles. So I'll go into detail with each of the principles. And so we'll start with number 1, 0 exclusions. So anyone that wants to work is eligible. And we really mean that. If they fall within those kind of guidelines for our grant, then we want to work with them. People aren't excluded due to their symptoms or decisions they make about medication or their other treatment choices, their work history, if they use, we talked about that. If they miss appointments with us, which is going to happen, we understand mental illness and we understand that people disengage at times at certain points for different reasons. And we meet with parents sometimes, we talk to their treatment team members, we visit their house, call, text. We always want them to know that we didn't go anywhere. We're still here, and when they're ready to participate, we'll move on. A lot of times youth are depressed, not because of different, how they present themselves. And so we want to always give them that confidence and the tool that they need to feel like they are worthy of working. We use a strength-based approach, and that helps people feel like, oh yeah, you know, I am capable of these things. And sometimes they just don't realize what they're actually good at. And we get the pleasure of pulling that out of them and put it on our resume and helping them realize the wonderful characteristics that they do have. A lot of our youth are nervous about working, so that doesn't exclude them. We want them to know no matter what kind of learning issues they might have or anything like that, that doesn't exclude them. We have no pre-employment assessments or trainings or workshops for youth. This is competitive employment, that is regular jobs. So there's no set aside jobs or anything like that. And we do, honestly, we work with a lot of kids that have been homeless, and we have a lot of community partners that help us find services for them, but that also does not exclude them from working. So based on their preferences is where we look for work, and we talk to everyone around them about what they think would be a good match also. And we want to be sensitive to the management styles of the employers, the pace of their work. That's a big issue. So when it's really fast paced and an individual is suffering from anxiety, that's not going to be a good environment for them. So we look at the pace of work and the culture of the work. There's all different industries and they all kind of have different cultures. So We want to see if there's any accommodations that are reasonable for them and any career opportunities to advance their career in the future. And our employment specialists, they utilize the motivational interviewing and that kind of thing too. That really helps. And I think that when a youth is able to come to the conclusion that they want to work and that they have a lot to offer, it feels a lot better for them. And we just try to eliminate all the barriers that they might have. I mentioned that we focus on competitive employment. So those are regular jobs with regular wages. It can be full-time, part-time, seasonal, and some employment programs pay the wages, and that is not something that we do. And I had mentioned before, they're not set aside jobs for those with disabilities. These are regular jobs that anyone can apply for. Job development is huge. That is how we kind of got our foundation, and the list of employers you see on the right there, that's how through job development is how we became really good partners with them. So we have, it's systematic job development. So we go and visit the employer, we learn about them, their hiring preferences. We want to know what kind of people they're looking for, the different positions within the business, but also schedules and things like that. So uniforms, any number of things that we would like to learn about the employer, we go meet them in person for that. And we make sure that we have a good match for both the employer and the youth. So it's a good solid partnership rather than just one-sided. And I can tell you that the businesses listed there, I can think of all the kids that have worked at those places and how tremendously different they were after just a short time of working. Okay, so rapid job search. Once we get the referral, within 30 days, usually our youth are working. But we take interest inventory and we do a career profile with them to make sure that we understand exactly what they're looking for. And so we go out and meet with those employers, and then we bring that information back to the youth and saying, these are the different employers we visited. These are what they're looking for. These are the different qualities they're looking for. What are you interested in? And then we help them apply and take them to meet the employer in person and help them with the interviews, all of that. But it's a very rapid job search. So within just a month, usually they're already working. We want to catch them while they're ready and want to do it still. And that really makes a big difference. We're part of our treatment team. So you saw all the services that we provide at Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. And so we are just part of that whole team of case managers, psychiatrists, and a number of professionals. So we make sure that we share what successes are happening with us because a lot of times, and this is unfortunate too, but a lot of times our youth will have many struggles at school and at home and socially, but at work, it's like this brand new start for them. And sometimes they're employee of the month. And then you share that with the treatment team and they go, what? We have a young lady just recently who has never, ever done well in school. And she started working at Albertsons, and whatever it is that got her motivated, she started getting some tutors. She has straight A's now, and her family is beside themselves. They are so excited for her, and she's just a whole different person. And they've said it, and she says it, and really, Albertsons was it, and it's what made her feel better and capable and confident again. And then she could tackle school, and she didn't have the fear of asking for help. And so, I mean, that's a small example, but it's good that we're part of that treatment team and that we're talking every week with them. So we meet with our colleagues every week to talk about the kids that we have in common. And so it's really important. And sometimes medication, we need to know about that. They're going to be drowsy, or there's like a mood shift or something that could happen at work. We want to know that. And maybe we don't share it with the employer, but maybe we can coach the youth on how to deal with those differences and their medications and things like that. So Okay, so here are our treatment teams. The Yellowstone Academy, that is the school that we have on campus, the day school we have. And so there's several people there that we meet with, but also our community-based services. I mentioned that. And then in our community, we have a ton of partners, and some of them do the same thing that we do at YBGR, but we complement each other well. And we just are all looking out for the best interest of the youth, and it's really nice to be able to partner with them. I've gone to several of these folks for help when I'm not able to be successful with youth, and asking for ideas, and just being a collaborative team. It's really nice to have those partners. So vocational rehabilitation is a component that we are very fortunate to have right here in Billings. And so we've had youth that benefit from our services, but are also enrolled in Voc Rehab, and they're getting their college paid for, they're getting their car insurance paid for until they can get enough money to pay for it on their own, help with car repairs. I mean, a number of things that, some of the things that maybe our program isn't able to do, they're able to provide that for them. So the mental health center, because we traditionally at YBGR serve youth, we do have clients that hit 18 and are discharged from other services. We keep them, but we have to have an adult diagnosis at that point. So we have to go to the mental health center, and they're wonderful with us. And they also offer adult case management and some counseling. So they can do those assessments for us. Job Connection, they have a program called Bridges to Employment, sort of the same stuff we do. They take it a little bit slower. And so I had a youth that really had some cognitive challenges, and it was nice to work with the colleague over there. She really had kind of an idea of how he could learn different job skills, and she just was kind of a specialist in her area, and I really appreciated her. LIFT has all these wonderful programs that are a hidden gem in Billings, and I hope that more people find out about them and use their programs, because they have a lot of new skills that they can teach kids, and just a whole array of classes and social events and different things. And I think that they're throughout Montana, but I know we have one of the offices here in Billings. And then every month there's a community management team. We are a group of people that work in mental health. We work in the schools, pretty much any human services area. And it's nice. They have time where we can ask questions about each other's programs, talk about trainings that are coming up, but we can also ask, we have an issue with housing. We would love to be able to provide some type of housing for the youth that we serve. And so we're going to partner with the Housing Authority. And because of that meeting, we were able to connect and really get some progress going. And so that meeting is really helpful. And we get to learn about new programs, but we also get to complement each other and make referrals to each other. Dress for Success, they are amazing. Have made a lot of exceptions for us. Typically, they only serve 18 and older, and they know that we serve youth that are under 18, and they've made exceptions and allowed us to take our ladies down there and shop and get uniforms and all kinds of things. So that's been really nice to partner with them. And then Tumbleweed is, they help homeless teens, and we have utilized their independent living and their shelter, definitely their food pantry. And then I personally volunteer and help out down there, and so does my husband. We just really believe that they deserve that extra support for what they do for our community. Okay, so another core principle is personalized benefits counseling. So that's going to help individuals understand their benefits and the rules and regulations related to employment and their benefits. And we have this wonderful woman, Tiffany Costa, over at MSUB. She is our person that we go to help with benefits planning. And she has all kinds of resources, and she just knows the Social Security program. She knows all of that very well. And so she also has all of these other work incentive programs that she works with. So she's an awesome resource for both us as employees for the employment program, but our clients and their parents also. There's kind of this idea that if youth begin to work, that the family will lose all their benefits. And typically that isn't true. And she can help them see that and understand how it actually works. Okay. The last core principle is that is unlimited support for these kids. So we have discharges, but that doesn't mean that we don't set them up for success once they leave us. So we identify natural supports, including their friends, their coworkers, their family members, and we want them to make sure that they meet the employment goals that they make with us first. So, and those change, and they might have multiple goals. So sometimes their goal is to save up enough money to get a phone, but later down the road, maybe they need to save up to get their license or a car or move out, things like that. So we can help them with those types of goals and budgeting and that kind of thing. So also the other mental health practitioners, they can provide supports to the youth. Their therapists, other people like that. So we don't want them to ever feel like alone once they leave our program. We want them to be set up to have that support. And then even on the job supports, we can always work with employers to ensure that they have those accommodations and that kind of thing. And just because they're working, you know, there's a lot of things they can work on once they're in our program. So once they get the job, that's kind of just the beginning of things for them. We also work with the youth at our campus, and I'm trying to get like this smooth process to where they discharge from our residential program and then join our community-based services, and then maybe we can get them working soon after their discharge, less idle time between. Okay. These are examples of job supports that we provide. So the workplace skills and social skills, that's definitely something that our kids don't always have that. They don't have the skills to know how to clean bathrooms sometimes, or even very simple tasks you would think they might know. I can say personally, I've worked at Taco Bell and Kohl's and a whole number of places, teaching kids how to sweep and scrub floors and stock things and make stuff look nice for customers and restocking things, just making sure that they understand what their employer is expecting of them. And at times we'll make checklists. I've laminated checklists and stuck them in the kid's pocket and said, hey, when you forget what you're doing because you have severe ADHD and you lose track of things and we need to find a way to keep you going and on track, they can just pull that out. And I always put a little inspirational message on the top and tell them how wonderful they are and that they're doing great. And so it's just those little things that really kind of eliminate their barriers. And when they have cognitive stuff going on, we have to find ways to make sure that they still have a good work experience and that they don't feel like they're not capable of something. Other things like symptom management, sometimes everything falls apart in their life and there's this huge crisis that happens and they don't want to call their boss because they don't want him to know what's going on. And typically we have such a good rapport with the employers. We don't have to share exactly what's happened, but we can say, you know, our youth is experiencing some things right now. We'll be in touch with you. They're almost always perfectly fine with that. Kids are in the hospital sometimes for a while. I've had a youth that she's been in the hospital 46 times last year. She's there all the time and she can't work because she's there. And it's just something that she's working on, but she has had a number of employers, but most of them have been really understanding when that kind of thing happens. And I think because we have that relationship with them, that gives us that sort of leeway and for them to know what kind of kids sometimes we're working with, that there's going to be stuff going on. And then those accommodations, a lot of times they won't know how to ask for a raise or ask to have a day off or that they need a different shift because they have to watch their sibling or something now, or things have changed in their own schedule and they have a hard time understanding how to ask for those things. And sometimes if they don't have the support, they don't tell us, then they just quit. And we don't want that to happen. We want them to have that relationship with us where they're like, really, I'm struggling to work this many hours, or I need more hours, I'm barely making anything. So we want to help them understand how to ask for those things on their own. So we'll coach them through that. And disclosure is a huge subject. So we talk about it when we first have youth in our program, but also when they start a new job, when they quit a job, anything that is kind of maybe disclosure would be helpful. We want to make sure that we are telling them not to share everything, because that's not what we're saying, but maybe there's a couple of things that if your boss knew about it, they would be more understanding and helpful. And so we talk about the benefits and the potential consequences of disclosing sensitive information about their mental illness or their past experiences or trauma, family history, that kind of thing. We just want to emphasize that whatever they choose to do is acceptable to us, and it will help them through that. So before an interview or after you're being hired or that kind of, those are all good times to talk about disclosure. And maybe disclosure just means you tell them that you have this coping skill, like I need to take a break every hour. It's just something that helps me do my best. And you don't have to say it's because you have anxiety. So there's things that we can say in ways that we can ask for things that doesn't disclose too much personal information or sensitive things that maybe a youth doesn't want everyone to know. Okay, so here's some more job supports that we offer. So I was talking about the advocacy part of it. And transportation, it's this huge barrier. Many of our families don't have a car. And so it's not just that the kid doesn't have a car, like sometimes the mom and dad don't either. And so we're always trying to think of ways we could partner with, I know the Spoke Shop here, they've donated, I don't know how many bikes, a lot of bikes to us. And so we're able to give those to youth. We'll buy bus passes. At times they live in places that don't have public transportation. And so we really need to make sure we're finding a way to find transportation for them somehow, or we have to find a job that's within walking distance, and so that barrier isn't even there. And it could limit their opportunities, but in time, we can always make the goal to save up enough to purchase a bike or a car or whatever. Yeah, I had a kid that had like a motorized scooter. Great, that got you to work and got you home safe. And so any number of things we can do to help out with transportation. It's always been a huge barrier. Sometimes we'll buy taxi rides for them for a week, and then once they get their paycheck, then they can pay for their transportation to get there, or gas money for a friend or something like that. State IDs, driver's license, social security cards, birth certificates, those are all things that are barriers to employment if you don't have the people there to help you. And so I could say more than half of our kids don't have these things. And so we're taking them down to the Social Security office and applying for those, and we have them do it. We walk them through how to do it so that they are able to do this kind of thing in the future. We'll help them study for their driver's test. I've made flashcards and done little ways of remembering things with the kids and taking them, even when they fail, I'll take them all 3 times to get their written test. So they pass it, hopefully. But those kinds of things create the independence that the youth desire. And so having those documents is crucial to starting work. And without them, we kind of are held back. So those kinds of things we'll pay for them. We don't mind doing that kind of thing. Okay, so a successful discharge, I would have it in quotes. We always called it the warm handoff. So we don't want to just cut ties with our youth. So we have those natural supports established, I had talked about. They've met their employment goals that they've made with us. They know how to ask for help, not just from us, but from other people. And they know how to get a hold of us if they need to, but we have YBGR Connect, and that is going to be even bigger here soon. But right now it's a little widget on our website, and anyone, YBGR affiliated or not, can go on there, and there's some crisis counseling. There's, if you need help de-escalating your child, if you need a referral to a therapist, if you just need somebody to talk to for a half an hour, that's what that's there for. and they can connect with it anytime they want. It's available 24 hours a day. We started that, I think, in the beginning of March last year, and we had an idea, but it was expedited due to situations. So, and when they leave our program, they'll have their resume. I print off 5 or 6 copies for them and then send them the digital copies so they can add to it or change it if they need to. And then we have a follow-up after discharge that we provide. And we kind of just started this last year and realized that there's this huge benefit to it. So what we do is we have a form that we just kind of keep track of who's discharged, and then we mark it 30, 60, 90 days. We give them a call, and we'll make a few attempts or text them and just kind of ask, how are things going? Are you still working? Do you need help with anything? One of the kids reached out to us and said, I just need a couple job leads in Lockwood. I want to leave the job I have now and I'm ready to do that, but I don't have anything lined up. And so Chris, he just went out to Lockwood and found a couple employers and got him working again. And so he didn't need to be re-enrolled into our program. He just needed a couple of job leads, and now he's working again. And so we just want to know those things. Is there something we can do to provide that extra support for you and that kind of thing? So they're always welcome to return to our program. We have our CEO emailed me yesterday, and he said, I just got a call from a parent whose youth is in her early 20s, and she has a little girl now, and she can get a job, but she cannot keep a job. And the parent was wondering if she will qualify for a supported employment program. And I said, absolutely. So I think that's really amazing that we have that kind of connection with a family, that she's in her early 20s. So she's definitely been out of the program for at least a few years, and that they thought of us. And I thought, that's a really huge compliment to us, that we know we made such a difference that they felt comfortable asking us for help again. And so, and I think I may know who it is, and I would just love to see that person again. I would love to be able to work with her again and get her going, but we'll have to see. I'm waiting for the referral. And then I found out this morning that the YBGR Connect, we wanted to make it an app that we could install on the phones of all the kids that we have leaving us. And so then we know who has it. And so we just got we just got an innovation grant. And so we found out this morning we were qualified, we received the money, and we're going to start creating that app. And then maybe we can have it be part of not just the discharge from supported employment, but from everyone in our agency that leaves. And maybe we could even provide that extra support to other agencies. And so it's this really wonderful new idea, and we're pretty excited that we're going to be able to tackle it. Okay, so now I'm going to go into some examples of where kids were when they started, and then where they were when they left our program. The top one here is one of my first clients ever, and that was about 5 years ago. She had an extremely traumatic past, and she used a lot of drugs and lots of risky behavior. She ran away a lot, lots of sexualized behaviors, very violent in the home, and a lot of foster placements. So I think I started working with her when she was in her 3rd or 4th, I think her 4th foster placement. I started working with her, and once you just kind of let them realize you're on their side, you're not there to fix them, that you're just there to help them, it's kind of this different relationship we have versus our treatment team members. And our team always talks about that, how we can kind of connect with youth on a different level. And my coworker says, we don't poke them and prod them. And not that anyone does that, but what he's saying is that we're not there to talk about all the awful things that have happened, and we're not there to do any of that. We're there to just help them grow and become better people. And so this young lady, she was almost going to drop out in April, and she graduated in May. And so then she was curious about working or going to college. But her last couple of years, she worked at the Metro, and she got promoted. You sign up for your own shifts there. You work at the concession stand. She got to sing all these cool concerts and meet all these great people. And then that's what kind of started her like, okay, so she did graduate and I was so happy for her. She went to one semester at MSUB. She lived in the dorms, kind of had that college experience, stopped using drugs. She wasn't violent anymore. All of those things happened shortly after she started working at the Metro. And I think, wow, this is a great program. I really started to believe in it then when I could see the outcomes and I could see her life was so much better. And then my other client that I used to work with, she self-harmed to, head to toe, continuous self-harming, lots of drug use. She was diagnosed bipolar and she had depression, a lot of anxiety. Dad was selling drugs out of the house and there was a lot of people coming in and out. She didn't feel safe. But she started working at Little Seeds. It was this nice little daycare downtown. It's been there forever. And it was so amazing. She just went in there, dropped off her application. And the owner just started talking to her. And I had already met with the owner before and told them about her. And the owner said, I think you are amazing. I just love the way you come across. You seem so caring. And you want to start next week? And she just like was blown away that someone saw that good in her. He wanted her to come work with little kids. And she was extremely successful. And she got a second job at the Boys and Girls Club. She moved out. She got her ID, her birth certificate, all of that stuff beforehand. It was just amazing, all the changes that happened with her. And I won't say she's always been, up here, but her life is like this. But she has a lot more stable times in her life than she ever did. And I think work was so important to her. And those little people loved her very much because she's pretty young. She's 18. And so she was on the floor rolling around with them and having a good time with them. Those kids just really loved her. And I think that really filled her up. And I have a few more success stories I'll tell you about. Just kind of the drastic differences that we see happen. Jenna, she's a young lady that went to day school. And when I first met her, she was just sitting there with her head down. You could tell her hair hadn't been washed in a long time. Her clothes were dirty, and you could tell, like you could visibly see her mental illness on her. And she asked me if I thought she would be prepared to go to college after graduating from this day school. And I was really honest with her. And I said, I don't see the academic part of it. And she's really, really smart. And she just felt like she was being underserved. And for her to reach out and ask, like, do you think I'll be ready? I'm scared I'm not gonna be ready for college. We went down to the Career Center and took a tour. She enrolled there. She was supposed to go to West High School. They said, sure, she can go to the Career Center full time. So she went there and took a photography class. Then we worked with Folk Rehab and they paid for her to go to college, and she got to go to college in Sheridan, and she won all of these awards, and she was able to travel to Belize and to Italy, and she won all these photography awards, and she's won all these contests, and she just completely flourished. And it just was the right environment for her. And in her background, she had a lot of stuff going on, but I think she just, once she saw something she loved doing, she just went for it. And I still talk to her. About every 3 or 4 months, I check in with her. And she told me the other day, I just would have never even gone to the Career Center. I would have never been here without you. And I thought, you were the one reaching out and saying, like, I don't think I'm going to be ready. And then I just happened to find some of the tools to get you there. But what an amazing opportunity for her to go to college. And typically she wouldn't be able to afford that kind of thing. And so it was really, really amazing. Blaine was we always say the unemployable kid. He definitely wasn't, but he started working at the Red Lion, and he cleaned rooms there. And boy, he had some fun stories for us too. But he was, he's kind of a quirky kid. He used to just sleep under the desk all the time, and he just needed a med change. So we got his meds changed for him. He became really hilarious all the time. We just really enjoyed working with him. Super successful at the Red Lion, graduated from Yellowstone Academy. And he mentioned that he was interested in joining the military. So Chris took him around our campus to talk to other people that we work with that have been in the military, to give him kind of the real deal about it, what to expect. And so he did enroll, he went through basic training, and we watched him graduate via Zoom. It was incredible. We were all crying. But he's now a soldier. He's down in Texas. He's a fabricator and a welder, and he's making a great living, just living this awesome life. And, you know, he was the kid sleeping under the desk that was unemployable. So I love these stories because that's what we do every day. And we feel so fortunate and humbled that we get to do this. Kyle, I think, is one of the more severe sort of stories, more drastic change. Parents were divorced when he was about 10 or 11. Mom took a dive, started using, pretty soon he was using with his mom. At the age of 12, they were using meth together. It was really disheartening to hear, but he became so addicted, and he entered our services at age 13. And he was eventually expelled from the Yellowstone Academy for being so violent. And he met Erica, his employment specialist, right before that. And I'm glad that we caught him when we did. And I watched them because I'd heard about him, and I watched them across the campus. They were sitting at a little picnic table there, and I saw them. And he's like leaned into her, and I think, oh, wow, okay, this is going good. And he apologized to her because he had called her some awful names when she walked by one day. He didn't even know who she was. And he said, "You're the person I call those awful names to. I'm so sorry." But he loved that she didn't judge his family, that he didn't judge that his mom was using, and that she had done that with him, and his siblings had been removed from the home. So after he started working at Guadalajara, he met Junior. Junior fully believed in this kid. There was just something about him, I guess, I don't know, but he refused to let him fail. He taught him everything in the kitchen. He taught him everything in the front of the restaurant. He just wanted him to see that there is opportunity. And he just was always very respectful of Kyle. He was very like optimistic about where he could be. And Junior's just been this huge advocate for Kyle. And he speaks very highly of him every time we check in. And due to the success of Kyle, his mom saw that there was this benefit to working. She got a job, she got sober. They're both sober, and they just moved in to their own place in June, and they are just healthy, happy people. And I think it's really incredible the impact that he had on his own mom, and that they aren't living this crazy, chaotic life, and his siblings are back, and that work just changed that entire family. And so I just always want to emphasize the progress that people make. And I have a couple other examples here about kids going to college that maybe would have never thought that they could. These are the numbers we have. So 2014 wasn't a great year. We didn't get any jobs. And I didn't know quite what was happening. I joined in January of 2015. And after I accepted the job as an employment specialist, I learned that I had 10 days to get a kid a job, or our grant was going to be pulled. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do? Oh no. But I really believed in what the benefits were of employment. And I've always worked really hard. So I thought, well, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And my old job was gone, so I gotta go back to that one. I did. I got a kid a job in the 10 days they asked. And as you can see, over time, we just increased the number of jobs. And then I took over in 2017 and hired some great people. They didn't work out as well. So I have 2 new staff, and you can see in 2019, when they started, how we went from 27 jobs to 71. These people are experts at their jobs, and they just love what they do. And we all kind of have that same level of passion. And so as of earlier this month, we are already at 25. And our goal is, I believe, 66 jobs for this year. So we're doing pretty good. Altogether, over the years, we've served 170 youth and filled 256 jobs. And then the employer contacts, I didn't even know there was 875 in our area, but there is. And we've talked to all of them. And you'll see kind of the outcomes that we keep track of. So we have the new job starts, the number of kids that we serve. We continually track these things. So kind of gauge where we're at. And then for fidelity reasons, we need to keep track of those things. These are our program goals for 2021. I'm establishing an IPS steering committee right now. We're meeting to create a virtual IPS conference. We're meeting later this week to get that going. Partnering with the Billings Public Schools. I've got a couple referrals so far, so we're on our way. And then we always continue our training, and that's right, it was 66 jobs that we're gonna go for this year. And then I'm offering Zoom job readiness classes to our kids on campus. I no longer have a caseload, so I thought I still want to reach out to kids, and I thought getting them thinking about work before they leave residential services could help curb them into get them going in the right direction. This is how we get the word out. I have a Facebook post every Wednesday called Working Wednesdays, and it's through the YBGR Facebook page. And so people can keep up to date what's going on with us. There's Evan. Evan's been in a lot of our stories. He's in the Billings Gazette. He was one of our first clients. He's just an incredible kid. We think very, very highly of him. It's nice to see his picture on there. I have posters all around campus. And then we have brochures that we give other agencies and our employers. Here's all my contact information. Oh, this is our group. So we YBGR, we have little signs, we did little pictures and stuff. And we really are caring people, preparing you for life through supported employment. And there's my contact information and admissions contact information if anyone's ever interested or knows somebody that would qualify for our program. There's that contact information for you. And we truly believe that work is recovery for so many people. That's my presentation for you today. Does anyone have questions? Are there things you want to know?
I have a thank you, Elizabeth. That was fantastic from one of our people that was on.
Oh, great. Oh yeah, I see it over here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? You know, I have a quick question for you. Since we have a little bit of time. So has any other agency or organization in the state of Montana reached out to you guys to see about your IPS and how you're doing it, that program, the Supported Employment Program?
That was kind of the goal of the IPS conference in 2019, was to get the word out. Mm-hmm. And then it ended up being more of a training for about IPS, not really how to implement it. And so that's our goal this year. So for our conference this year, that's what we're going to try to get that information out to people. And we have like local folks that have asked us about it, but I've not had anyone like throughout the state reach out. We do have a IPS program in Missoula through Mountain Home.
Okay.
So they have the same grant that we do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so they'll probably they'll be helping us with the conference, but those are the only other people I know that have it.
Okay. Well, just great information. What a wonderful program for kids.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then it's nice to know that you work with kids that are adults, like, you know, you were talking about that 20-year-old that are able to help. So that's just wonderful.
It's so awesome that we know, because we know case management will drop off. We know school is going to drop off, all of those benefits, but we get to hang out. We get to stay with them. And I'm so grateful for that, because there's nothing that says when they turn 18, they're going to be ready for life.
Right.
Don't need that support anymore. I mean, so honestly, I have kind of my own personal career goal to somehow create a transitional program here in Billings. I really, really want that to happen because there's gaps that need to be filled, and there needs to be housing and help with that kind of stuff. And our kids just don't have that opportunity here. And we have too many kids that need the same things for it not to be important. So
Right.
that's my own kind of personal thing. I want to try to start something like that, of course, in combination with supported employment.
Good. Does anybody else? Oh, here's a question. Any way the PowerPoint can be shared with all of us so we can save it?
Oh, good. The question is the grant you used only available for a youth program at this time for this particular grant through AMDD? It is. The other, I don't know of other supported employment programs in Montana. And it's been around since the 80s, and it's worldwide, supported employment is, but in Montana, I don't know of any other ones that are adult ones either. So we're trying to spread the word. Hopefully we get more programs out there.
So it says the slides will be posted on the NAMI Montana website.
Great.
So
does it have the little notes I have at the bottom? Can anyone see those? Because there was a lot of information in the notes below my slides. I hope that's on there. It probably would be if it's just the PowerPoint file.
yeah, I don't know.
All right. Is there anything else? I want to thank you for letting me come. I love what I do, and I love sharing it with other people. And I just feel very lucky that someone asked me to do this. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing your program with us and what you've done.
My pleasure.
Take care.